7 p.m. Roll call, Manager Falk.
Commissioner Hempel.
Here.
Commissioner Hagus.
Here.
Commissioner Gray.
Here.
Commissioner Zona.
Here.
Commissioner Bevan. Commissioner Goss.
Here.
President Atwood.
Here. I ask you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the opening prayer by Pastor Rosemary Hook.
Dear Heavenly Father, first and foremost, thank you for allowing us to have the freedom to gather here this evening, Lord. God, we ask for conversations that are about to happen here this evening, Lord, to happen under an umbrella of grace, God. We ask, Lord, for your inclination to have ears to listen, to respect, in place of ears to listen, to just respond, Lord. We ask, God, that there's going to be opposing sides and tough conversations that happen here this evening, Lord, and we just ask, God, that those conversations can happen intelligently and respectfully, Lord. We ask, God, that you go before this meeting, Lord, and just rain your grace down, your understanding, Lord, and your mutual respect, God. Lord, we just ask these things in your heavenly and holy name this evening. Amen.
Prior to tonight's meeting, the Board of Commissioners had an executive session at 6 o'clock to discuss real estate matters. At this point, if anybody would like to speak, I ask you please sign the book at the podium. Before we start with the citizens' input, we do have some presentations on the agenda. Sorry, I skipped that. Ms. Kincaid, do you have, would you like to take the floor for this?
Absolutely. At this time, I would like to congratulate and recognize all of our 2024 Halloween house decorating contest winners. This year, we hosted the contest from October 1st through October 25th, during which any resident of the township could submit photos of their decorated home to compete against others within their ward. A panel of judges then selected a winner for each township ward. Commissioners, if you don't mind, we would love for you to present the award to each winner of your respective wards. Award recipients, if you are present tonight, we invite you up to receive your award when your name is announced. For ward number 1, the winner was Laura Baker at 7474 Natalie Lane. For Ward 2, the winners were Donald and Anne-Marie Jones at 10120 Laurel Avenue. Here. For Ward 3, we had Chuck Lippert at 1712 Halflinger Drive. Yay! Yeah. Thank you. For Ward 4, unfortunately, we didn't have any entries, so no winner for that ward. For Ward 5, the winner was Kim Tusabat at 1998 Bernice Drive. For Ward 6, we had Karen Petro at 766 Stillwell Drive. In Ward 7, we had the Lesnicki family at 70 Old Jacks Run Road. Congratulations to all of the winners, and thank you to all who entered the contest. We hope you all will submit your decor again next Halloween season. Thank you.
In addition to those presentations, congratulations to all the winners. Mr. Albert, we do have an appreciation for your 30 years of service in honor of your retirement, which none of us up here are really looking forward to. I have a plaque for you to commemorate the occasion. Thank you for your 30 years. Thank you. Speech. Wow.
Wow. I can't believe it's been 30 years. Where did time go? That's for sure. Even though I'm 62 years old, I still feel like I'm 32 years old when I first started here in North Huntington. Of course, you talk to my wife, she'll tell you I act like I'm more like 12 years old. But unfortunately, she couldn't be here this evening. She wasn't feeling well, so I'm sure she's watching along with all my family, my siblings from all over the country. Hi, guys. I love you. First and foremost, I want to thank the Board of Commissioners for this opportunity, this board here and the previous boards over the years that I've worked for. I've certainly been blessed to be able to have this opportunity to work here in North Huntington Township. For a kid that grew up in North Huntington and spent his whole life here, and I got the opportunity to spend, the majority of my career here in North Huntington. I mean, wow. I mean, I'm truly blessed to have this opportunity. That was a hell of a run, and I wouldn't have been able to make it without working with a good bunch of people and amazing group of people. All the men and women that I've worked throughout the years, it's just been amazing. They always said, good leaders are only good because they have good people that work for them. And I certainly had a bunch of good people that I've worked with over the years, and I've been truly blessed to get to know them and work with them. I always said that, my employees, that I work with them, that they don't work for me, that, we all work together as a team. And, so I'm thankful for that. And I wouldn't have made it if it wasn't for a good group of people that helped me through all the years. So thank you to all of them. I just can't say enough about the opportunity that I've had and how grateful that I am to be able to have that opportunity. Thanks to all the residents of North Huntington for putting up with me for all these years. I tried to be fair and give equal service to everybody. And, I made a lot of people mad, but I've also made a lot of people happy as well. I just work here. I don't make the rules. So, again, thank you all so much.
Thank you. Moving to citizens input, our first citizen tonight is Rick Keenan. I ask you to come and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Rick Keenan, 700 Legger Road, North Huntington. I'm here to speak about this sports fiasco. Everything changes every time you see somebody on TV. It was 32 acres, 33 acres. Now it's 29 acres. And for $1 an acre is absolutely ridiculous. If they would hook up with the outfit that puts solar panels in, they're paying $1,000 to $5,000 per acre, but you have to have 5 acres. And if you want to look at one, you can go down to White Oak Park down there. They have one that they could park the township equipment under and so on, and use it like a roof to keep them out of the snow and so on. But it's down there at White Oak Park right there on the corner of 48 and if you follow Carpenter Lane down and make the right turn, it's down there. Just think of the income of the township that would come in if they would rent this and put this in the coffers of the township. And, you know, it belongs to, the property basically belongs to the taxpayers in North Huntington, citizens, not a few of the commissioners that they seem to think are running the thing. And unlike all of you on the board up there that just got a nice raise, many of us are on fixed incomes, Social Security and so on. Between this board and the North Huntington School Board, with the $35 million for the stadium, the sports is going to run this township bankrupt and cause many seniors would be forced to move out of town because of the raise in taxes. In closing, I have one thing to say, that I think there's too much secrecy behind closed doors and over the telephone. We have had the solicitor mention that he was talking to them over the phone. A lot of this is done in an executive session, which personally I call backroom politics. And a lot of this is kept from the public, and every time you see something on TV, it's different and the same guy saying it. And they, like I said, there's far too much secrecy, and I think that the Sunshine Law should be brought in here, and they ought to invoke the Sunshine Law. There's too much secrecy going on over this thing, and something smells fishy. And in closing, I'm going to say, let the sun shine in. Thank you.
Our next resident is Mike Durii. As you come and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Mike Durii. I live at 541 Janet Drive, North Huntington. First, I want to go on record to say I'm not opposed to the kids having a place to play sports. Not opposed to it at all. However, I am opposed to the North Huntington Township being a landlord or a leaseholder. I think the property needs to be evaluated. I think it needs to be looked at in terms of commercial real estate and appraised. I think it needs to be advertised for lease or for sale or for rent, whatever the case may be, based on the market value of the property. You're all elected officials. You're here to work for the township. The township is the people, not some of the people, it's all the people. You want to work for the people, make sure the people are getting a fair shake in things. Get the property appraised, then go at it from there. But small dollar leases, small dollar rentals, even being in the lease and rental business, that's a business you shouldn't be in. You got enough on your hands to run a township. That's it.
Our next resident is John Newbert. As you come and state your name and address for the record, please.
John Newbert, a.k.a. Joe Citizen. A major atmospheric inversion has been unfolding in the United States. To be qualified to be nominated to be a secretary of something, it's good to have an alleged history of sexual impropriety or an alleged history of having a worm eating your brain. On a local level, an atmospheric inversion has also emerged. How is it even possible that another new, undisclosed version of a sports complex lease has emerged with pre-approval by the tenants, of course. How ridiculously convenient is that? Wherein tenants pay $1.65 million over 116 years, a little over $14,000 a year. Wow, what a dramatic increase from $1 a year. How generous the price of 30 pieces of silver in 2024. The phenomenon of the tail wagging the dog for the upteenth time. How is that possible? Oh, excuse me. My son Joey said he has to learn his spelling words. Okay, Joey, let's go over the list. Unsafe, walking, bike lane, white lines, danger, harm, maim, blood, killed, dead, buried, grief, sorrow, sadness, neighborhood, community, serene, calm, friendly, respectful, safe, welcoming, greed, desensitization, narcissism, willful hubris. Wow, that's a long list of words. I wonder how those words fit into the recent local atmospheric inversion. How is it possible that I'm standing before you again tonight? It's an unnecessary necessity correlated with whatever happened that derailed a vote approving a motion to end a proposed sports complex. Let's review a previous discussion about the white colonists trading the Indians $24 worth of seductive trinkets for the land of New York City as a metaphor for the proposed sports complex. We, the neighbors, of course, are the Indians. The developers and some of the commissioners are the white colonists, and the $24 of shiny seductive trinkets is the lease. What the colonists did was fraudulent. Whatever occurred to get a discussion of a lease back on the table is at least approaching being questionable. How is it possible that another lease is being proposed, giving away invaluable land virtually for free? How in this day of scarcity is the land of the proposed complex not being allowed to lay fallow for a future rainy day? Wouldn't Asheville, North Carolina like that money? So why would any commissioners be in favor of such an inane, insane, innocuous deal? Why? The deal, the proposed sports complex, would radically alter the adjoining neighborhood and the lives of its neighbors. Even if a proposed legal complex prohibiting the development of access roads from the neighborhood to the site of the proposed complex would be added to the lease in perpetuity, the neighbors walking the streets would still be endangered. Those using the proposed complex would still park in the neighborhood en masse. The neighborhood has no room for the congestion of parked cars. There's no sidewalks or designated lanes for bikes. So anybody trying to walk the streets would be endangered. Remember the various snapshots, our son, the 2-year-old little boy, the elderly frail couple, the mothers and their babies, the kids on the bikes, and many others. If something happens to any of those in the photos or any individuals living in this community, do you really want their blood on your hands and souls? The proposed complex would also destroy or radically alter the spirit decor of the neighborhood. The neighbor community has been a serene, calm, friendly, respectful, welcoming, safe environment. What would happen to its spirit decor when it would be overwhelmed by the stress of unsafe congested streets, noise pollution, light pollution, the likelihood of increased crime, drugs and alcohol, robbery, rape, even possibly murder, death, sorrow? Some old adages come to mind. Pink sky in the morning, sailor's warning. I'll bet there was one this morning. It's all right as nothing bad happens. Some dates indelibly ingrained in some of our lives. The space shuttle blowing up on January 28, 1986. The assassination of John F. Kennedy on November 22nd, 1963. The near assassination of Trump in 2024. Remember? The space shuttle blew up by a ring, something or other. And it blew up because it froze. That part was made in Pittsburgh. It's all right if nothing bad happens. The proposed complex would also destroy or radically alter the neighborhood. The proposed deal is
Thank you, sir.
fundamentally
Your time
flawed,
is
grounded
up.
in constituent variables of greed, possibly narcissism.
Sir, your time is up. Thank you for your comment.
I'm not done. I have one more sentence I want you to hear.
Sir, your 5 minutes is up, sir.
I have a sentence I want to tell you. choose to vote against this fundamentally flawed complex. Nothing, no matter how many more revisions of the lease might be made, can alter the fundamental facts of the situation. Building a sports complex abutting this neighborhood will radically
time is up.
endanger the lives and destroy the spirit, the core of the neighborhood. May God bless all of us and give us wisdom, liberty, and especially justice for all. Do what's right.
Our next resident is Mike Pasach. Ask you come and state your name and address for the record, please.
Mike Pasach, 12480 Adams Drive. Do you know that North Huntington Township already has a sports complex? Maybe you've heard of it, the CNX Resources Sports Complex, home of the Norton Soccer Club. The Resource Sports Complex at Turner Valley features 10 grass fields, 500 parking spaces, and concessions. They currently accommodate field hockey, lacrosse, rugby, soccer, ultimate frisbee, drone racing, boomerang tournaments. They have a pavilion, bathrooms, and contrary to one of our commissioners has posted on Facebook, they do rent the facilities. It was also posted on Facebook by the same commissioner that the Police Athletic League will not rent fields. This is also not true. I've spoken with the president of Pell, and he has told me that as long as they're not using fields, they do rent them. That I also know is true because years ago, and they've been doing this since I was a kid, when my father was on the executive board at Pell, they rented fields back then. So that part hasn't changed. To use a phrase that I heard during your last meeting, we need to think outside the box. Let's stop trying to negotiate with a company that cannot or will not answer questions that are being raised by the commissioners and the residents. Let's think outside the box, work with some of the existing local organizations that are already in the community and try to build them up. Maybe we can get a building or get the complex built down in Turner Valley to go along with the existing 10 fields. When I was a kid growing up in North Huntington, there was a park and or a baseball field in every township community. Country Hills, Camelot, Sunset Valley, Ridge Road, Penns Woods, Markview Manor, Lions Park, to name a few. These fields were available rent-free all day. They were used by children every day. In the evenings, Pell and NCAA rented the fields for organized baseball and softball. Now, most of these fields are gone or abandoned. Lions Park's turned into a walking park and water overflow. There's still usable space that we're not using, but that's okay. Remember, think outside the box. Ridge Road's field is now a housing plan because what's better than a little more tax revenue? As for the discussion about the 43 acres that was to be leased by the township, do you have any idea what that property is actually worth? Looking at properties, the undeveloped properties within the township, $500,000 buys you 25 acres off Ridge Road by Myers Lane, completely undeveloped. Fairly low price at $20,000 an acre. $75,000 buys approximately a half acre at 361 Carpenter Lane. $38,000 buys a quarter acre at Grant Street. These are also undeveloped, just a lot, no buildings. Those equate to about $150,000 an acre. So, by my quick math, the 43 acres that you're proposing to lease for $116, maybe a little more in your new lease, should be worth between $860,000 and $6,450,000 by today's market in this township. Leasing property to a for-profit business does not make sense. The township takes on the risk and the liability, the company takes the profits, make them take the risk. Let them have the liability. Sell them the land at fair market value, which today is between $860,000 and $6,450,000. I also believe that when this whole thing started, it should have gone through the Planning Commission, since that is the procedure laid out in the township ordinances. Planning Commission is, after all, supposed to ensure submitted plans comply with all ordinances of the township. And our township commissioners appointed the 7 people on the Planning Commission. So the way this is being handled doesn't look real good. Or maybe you don't trust the people that you've appointed, or you don't trust that they'll give you the desired outcome. Thank you.
Our next resident is Pam Pasach, I ask you to come and state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Pam Pasach. I'm at 12480 Adams Drive in North Huntington. I moved here when I was 4 years old in 1972, and I have pretty much been here my entire life. I am devoted to this township. I do anything for anybody in this township. We have a great community and we all care about each other. Why are we doing this over again? I feel like I'm in deja vu. 80% of the people that were there gave you reasons why it wasn't a good idea. And then all of a sudden, on a spur of the moment, we're watching at home on TV, and there it comes, and there goes a vote. Nothing's changed. Route 30 is still a disaster. It still has how many accidents daily basis up there? And that's right in the main thing. The neighbors haven't changed that you're affecting them. Nothing's changed. Why did the vote change? If you guys want to do something for this community, take up bids. I'll help fundraise. We can build something ourselves for the kids, for the adults, for dogs, everybody. We can do this together. We don't need to bring an outsider that's going to just take revenue. And you guys all say that they're going to come and they're going to do this business and they're going to help our businesses. When you guys go to Monroeville or Pittsburgh, okay, yeah, you might go out to eat, but you don't spend a night in there. You don't go sightseeing. You don't go shopping. When you go to these other places, when you go to these games, we're not getting anything from this community effort that you're saying is great for the kids. If you want to do something great for the kids, stand up and be accountable. Let them see what you're doing for them. That you guys care. Not that you care about somebody else that wants to build something that may or may not happen, and they may or may not lease it to somebody else. We can get together for a lot more than just $1. We can do this. Please try. Thank you.
Our next resident is John Topasic. As you come and state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, John Topasic, 571 Janet Drive. Good evening. I just wanted to talk about the proposed sports complex. I'm not sure if any of you own investment real estate. Typically what happens when you rent even just a single family property, there's certain steps that a landlord takes before they rent the property out. They vet the proposed tenant. There's a few steps that they take when they vet these individuals. First, they get a proof of income. They want to make sure that the tenant can afford the rent that they're going to be paying the landlord. Second, they also want to verify how long this person has been employed to see how stable they are. And lastly, they want to verify their credit score to see how they've paid others in the past. As you can see, even a small residential property, there are certain steps that need to be taken. We have done none of this, and this is for a $30 million project. So to get back to leasing that single family home and how it applies to this project. Number one, we talked about proof of income. We have no idea how much income this company is going to make. We are several months in this project, and they still have not submitted any kind of formal business plan that anybody has seen. When Sheets has decided that they're going to tear down one of their locations here in the township and rebuild, I bet they have a 50-page business plan put into place and can tell you where every penny is going and how much they're going to make down to the penny. But once again, this company has nothing. You may ask, why does a company need a business plan? once it's theirs, they can do whatever they want as long as they're paying their rent, right? It shouldn't matter, but it does matter. It matters because they want this property for over 100 years at a cost of almost nothing. And if this project fails, then what happens, they could just walk away and we're giving them and they could just walk away and there's no risk on their behalf. We need to verify that this is a viable project. Second, verify how long they've been employed. We can, once again, apply to this. We have no clue because they've never built a sports complex before. Sure, one of the owners does some construction, but has never built anything on this scale and size. This is a brand new entity that we can't prove anything. And lastly, verify credit. Once again, this is a new company. They have no credit history or track record. So just to recap, if I'm a landlord and looking through all my potential tenants, and this one comes on my desk, and I ask myself, does this person have proof of income? And the answer is no. Can we verify how long they've been employed? And the answer is no. And can I verify how creditworthy they are? And the answer, once again, is no. I ask you, commissioners, does this sound like a group that you want to rent to? If I gave this scenario to you and left the names off of it, every single one of you would say that you are not going to rent to these individuals. You're letting personal relationships cloud your judgment. This is not a viable business. It's just an idea that was probably born at drinks at the Ride and Hunt Club and written down on a paper napkin. Is it okay to have an idea? It's okay to have an idea, but how do you execute on that idea? The residents have been begging for a business plan to see if this project even works. We have a master plan that looks like it was done for a fourth grade art project. We have a phasing plan that was submitted that has absolutely no specifics, just like this project. It basically says that we are going to move some dirt, put in a couple fields, and eventually build a building. But we have no idea when this is going to take place. There was no specific timeline to the project. Is this project going to take 2 years, 3 years, 10 years? How long am I going to have to listen to dump trucks and excavators going in the back of my property? Lastly, someone mentioned in last week's meeting that they would rather do business with a local company versus someone who was from Nevada. Do we really know that we are doing business with a local company? We have no idea who the investors are. How about letting us know who the investors are and where they're from? If we are to move forward with creating a lease, I am proposing that the lease gets made public for all to view and to give their input before the lease is sent to the sports complex. I feel that the board owes it to the community for us to review and discuss. Thank you.
Our next resident is Linda Funk. I ask you to come and state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Linda Funk, Winchester Road, 14481. I just want to say, why are we even talking about this again? It was voted down. Is this really about a soccer complex that our kids have to pay to use, when in reality we've been asking our commissioners for a athletic center that benefits everybody in the community. If it's so important to get rid of it, let's just put this land up for sale. As commissioners, are you legally empowered to lease this citizen-owned land? It should be on a referendum in a midterm election. At the last meeting, you have Dice Law creating a draft lease. How much are the taxpayers paying to produce this proposed lease? How much do the taxpayers have to keep paying for all these legal fees during this whole continuous process, as well as the ongoing length of the lease? Once built, how will the children be protected from Public Works heavy equipment? Will there be a fence, and will the taxpayers be paying for it? Will the taxpayers be responsible for the traffic control expense? In closing, why is this being thrown in before a Thanksgiving holiday? The majority of the taxpayers don't even know that this meeting is taking place today. As a citizen, my vote is advertise and sell the land and collect the business revenue for the township. Thank you.
You. Our next resident is Alan Silverio. Ask you come and state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, I'm Alan Silverio from 149 Skelly Town Road. I'd like to speak about the proposed sports complex and want to start by addressing the solicitor. This is not like a run-of-the-mill type of opportunity. It has a lot of like intricacies. This is, pretty unique situation. I just want to ask what your firm's expertise is in real estate and conducting transactions on government land. Could you provide examples of your competencies regarding these subject matters? I tried to do some research. I just didn't really find much online about your firm, just a few Google reviews, which were, it's kind of helpful. But moving on to the board and the investors, where's the funding? Who's financially backing this project? Do they have credit? Are they financially a viable source? Do Josh Zugai and Dave Ponsonby have the experience to take on such a project? And could they cite specific examples of their work that's relevant to this? I personally think the board is getting ahead of itself by reopening the negotiations. In my opinion, we skipped step A and are just on step B. I think we need to take things back a little bit. Commissioner Bevan at the middle school meeting brought up zoning and planning and how that probably should be cleared before negotiations. I'm not against any negotiations or creating a lease template. That's a good idea, but I believe they should, go through zoning and planning and meet certain criteria. It appears other complexes locally and nationally follow these same initial measures, including our neighbors down in Hempfield. Again, I think we're getting a little bit of ahead of ourselves with creating a lease for this particular opportunity at this point. Also, certain requirements should be required prior to lease negotiations, and this should be done in zoning and planning. So this is step A, right? And since this is unique, I think some, things should be included. First of all, a business plan. These investors should provide their funding sources and a funding plan. A Dun & Bradstreet financial credibility analysis would be beneficial. Market and impact studies. We've mentioned, what's the tax revenue going to be on this? What's, some economic growth figures. We need to know a lot about the safety and traffic. And a lot of case studies should be looked at. You could gather a lot of information and statistics from these case studies on, similar types of investments. In particular, this one's a private investment leasing government land for, a sports complex. And a site assessment, too, should be done. I've looked at the coal maps back there. There are coal mines back there, and there are strip mines. And I talked to a lot of neighbors that know the history about that and how heavily mined that was, actually, which is really fascinating. And then I've heard two things about water issues back there. Moving on to the investors again, they had 3 opportunities to provide leases, and not really anything changed. And, in negotiations with leases and contracts, both sides redline issues. I'd like to ask the board, did you redline any items? What was your experience like? And just provide some specific examples of the redline items. That would be nice to know. And I don't understand no business plan. I've had a small business for over 10 years in the township and obtained a bachelor's degree in business management and marketing 14 years ago from Penn State. One of the first things I learned about business negotiations and deals in my classes, you need to have a business plan to set specific goals and provide relevant information to investors or any other associated parties. In the startup phase, you want to strategize and fine-tune your plans based on initial findings. With my small business experience and interactions with other business owners, leaders, and professionals, this is a law, not an opinion, especially for negotiations like these that are complex. So based on the questions and facts that I provided in combination from, the citizen feedback and investors over the last 6 months, I'd like to ask each commissioner, especially Commissioner Haggis and Gass, it seems like you guys are the only ones who are like not a set yes or no on this opportunity. I just want to ask you, think about this. Have the investors proven themselves to be qualified, professional, legitimate, and brought up a lot of the issues that have been brought up by myself and others over the last 6 months? I'd also like the board to vote on a supplementary procedure tonight to only negotiate leases like this after zoning and planning requirements are met with certain criteria like the ones I mentioned, which could be fine-tuned, but like you definitely need to include a business plan, impact studies, site studies, and things like that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next resident is Leah McGee. Ask you to come and state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Leah McGee, 149 Skelly Town Road. So tonight I'm talking about the sports complex. As commissioner, it is your job to look out for the best interest of our community, and that includes the investment of our public property. There is a glaring issue with this project, and several people have already talked about it. To date, the township has not done any due diligence on this project. You have not understood the actual plan for this project, the qualifications of the developers, and the market and financial data associated with this project. I'm proposing that our township implement a supplemental procedure of a due diligence process. This gives you the opportunity to weigh the risks and the benefits of the sports complex and understand the data to help you in negotiations. This is something that can be done during lease negotiations, but absolutely has to be done before you finish lease negotiations. It includes a business plan. We've heard that multiple times tonight. You still have probably not received a business plan from them. This is your roadmap. This tells you what the business goals are, how the business is going to be structured, what the financial projections are, what is your data analysis to show that this is something that that will succeed. For example, financial projections. This gives you the feasibility, the sustainability, the sound business model. It tells you what those revenues would be for the township. We keep hearing people speak about it in general terms. You can do an actual business plan and financial projection to tell you exactly what the township will get from this. I heard that developers will be offering the township $1.65 million over the course of the lease. How do you even know that's a good deal if you don't know what their financial projections are over this entire course of this project? Additionally, a market analysis. This tells you if there's actual demand for this. Again, we hear things in just general terms that people want this, but the developers have not done any market analysis to prove to you guys and to the citizens that this is something that people want. I've heard from coming to these meetings that people actually want a pool. They want a community center. Yes, they do want more soccer and football fields, but they really want a pool. A lot of people want a pool. And unfortunately, I heard at the middle school meeting that the commingling of of having a public community center on land leased from the township is really not advisable. And I imagine that applies to not only community centers, but also township buildings of any kind. Funding. When I spoke to the township on Tuesday, I was informed that you guys have never received proof of funding for this project. We're promising the community a $30 million project and you haven't received proof of funding? Is that correct? Background and reference checks. Both these companies, NHT Sports Complex and NHT Investment Partners, were started in 2024. But yet we heard at the middle school that they built 4 sports complexes. It's easily fact-checked that they did not build the sports complex in Montour. That was not built by Dave Ponsonby. If he's working with somebody that did build that, why aren't we talking about that? Why aren't we making that openly known? Why are we doing this behind closed doors? Planning and zoning, we heard that again tonight. I understand this is a lease, and that's why they skipped the planning and zoning, and they'll come back to it later, but that doesn't mean our board can't require them to do planning and zoning. For instance, a traffic study. We've been repeatedly told that they can't do a traffic study because it costs $300,000. Dave Ponsonby has said that multiple times. We had engineers come up to the meetings and say, that doesn't sound right. So I talked to a friend of mine who does traffic engineering, and he actually laughed at me when I told him the $300,000. They took a look at the road, and they said, gave you an estimate, it's about $30,000. So if these guys are serious about doing this, they can invest $30,000 to do a traffic study and prove to us that there can be a light and a turning lane on Route 30 before we go any further. It's a major issue. We all know the traffic issues up there. The last thing I would say that they need to provide as part of a due diligence process is an impact assessment to our Public Works Department. Our Public Works employees will be greatly affected by this plan. And so far, I have not heard anything considering how this will affect their operations. Just think, if you were a township employee and you weren't even being considered during this, how would that make you feel? The final thing I wanted to close with was last week I mentioned about the hazardous materials. And Mr. Zona said he's not really worried about that down there. And so my suggestion would be, if it's not an issue, then let's make sure in this lease that we put that assumption of risk on the developers and not on the township. Thank you.
Our next resident is Nicholas Carroza. As you come and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Nicholas Carroza. I reside at 2331 Guffey Road. Man, I don't even know where to start. That's Chelsea Dice, I think. Who's Chelsea Dice? You? Where do you get off sending me a threatening? First of all, I'm the father of the small child and the woman that were hit by the 90-mile-an-hour driver. And this commission has remained silent. Now, I know there's some good guys up there. Just know that I know who you are. But you guys, what's wrong with you? You had Harry Falk send me an email saying you wouldn't discuss the case with me. You would only discuss it with a woman with a traumatic brain injury. Are you nuts? That's my son. I'm the father. Where do you get off telling me I don't have a right to information? Where do you get off calling Kathleen a paramour? Do you know what a paramour is? It is the illicit lover of a married man. So you are insulting a woman with a traumatic brain injury. You threaten me with arrest if I continue to call the DA asking questions. You people are nuts. I wouldn't feel comfortable with you building a tree house, let alone doing a $30 million project. And the Norman football stadium, no offense to those boys, but a losing football program, we're going to dump $25 million into it. How about dumping $25 million into making the streets safe for people driving? How about that? Because I know that kid has a prior record. I know from some of your officers that they've wanted to go after him, and he's told to stand down. We're on our way to federal court, guys. And you're going to cost the taxpayers a shit ton, millions. They're going to cost you guys millions of dollars. Because I've tried to negotiate with them. I have humbly asked them.
Sir, you're here to address the board, not the people here. You're here to address the board.
Is there a rule or a policy or procedure?
Yes, there is, sir.
Okay, then let's talk about you, asshole. You've blocked me from free speech, not a fighting word, protected. Pipe down, Eric. You've blocked me from four public forums. You have blocked a citizen of the United States of America from participating in a public forum. What is wrong with you people? Tyrants. You, $600. You know my family ain't got no money. We're in the negatives right now because of our situation. You want me to pay $600 for body cam footage? The entire purpose of body cam footage is transparency, not for you to turn around and set a bar so high that we can't afford it. Thank you. You guys got a lot of nerve treating me and my family like this. You, sir. I had a pleasant time speaking with you. You got me the information I needed. You better have a talk with your officers and your dispatchers, because when I ask what their names are, they better start giving them to me. Failure to identify is not acceptable. Now that the case has been moved to the DA, and that's the reason none of you could talk to me because it's under investigation, I'm hoping that some of you will come forward and negotiate with me. I'm not looking to get rich suing my fellow citizen, although all of you are going 1983. I'm ripping your qualified immunity right off of you, sir. And some of the stuff you're doing is criminal. Oh, it's coming, buddy. You're a smug one. And anybody else that I can take the qualified immunity from, it's going, because you guys are lucky that my family wasn't killed. I got another minute and 25 seconds. You want to shit on my First Amendment on camera again? Tyrant. You're a tyrant. You especially a tyrant. Look at you, dude. You got no business being up there. You got no business, Mr. Zona. The clock is ticking. Somebody better come forward and start talking to me so we can negotiate this so this township doesn't lose a shit ton of money. Because I've already made it clear the time for negotiating is done. If you force my hand to file federal lawsuit, I will demand a jury trial. I will not negotiate at that point, which I've made clear to all of you in multiple emails. And if we can skip ordinances and go around the zoning, then we should be able to bypass the ordinance where the citizen has to come up with $600 for body cam footage. It's a little ridiculous, Harry. It's a little ridiculous. And you being his little messenger telling me you won't talk to me, that he's not going to talk to me about the accident my son was in. I feel like I live in communist China. Is this Russia? Are we in the CCP? Because that's how a majority of you conduct yourselves. You, sir, I don't know who you are. This isn't directed at you. Don't really know who any of you are, not directed at you. But you especially, and the president. Pathetic. 4 public forums you've blocked me from. 4. All right, they're going to cut me off. Sunshine Law.
Our next resident is Amy. I ask you to come and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Amy Geshin. I live at 11575 Dennis Circle. I have this whole speech written out, but after that, why when he turned around to the crowd, you had a problem with that, but last week you had no problem because they were addressing me. You had, Ron, Commissioner Zona, you had problems with the Oak Hollow complex and said the kids don't need it. Why are we focusing on sports? But now because these developers are addressing it, it seems okay. It has all been stated, you keep saying that the meeting at the middle school was a waste of time. That meeting was labeled a special meeting. It was not labeled as a meeting to help the developers propose a good lease. We weren't there to teach them what to do. The majority who spoke were opposed. It was 3-1. If you look at all the posts on Facebook, group pages, the township page, under the live feed of the meetings, the majority of the commenters are opposed to a lease of public land for a private for-profit business. They are not opposed to a sports complex. They're opposed to a lease of public land. It feels like you're gaslighting when you keep saying everyone you talk to is for it. We just hired a new Parks and Rec director. She hasn't been given a chance to do anything yet. Sponsors, grants, fundraising, and then we own the business. But since the motion was made for the township to write the lease, we would like you to consider hiring a real estate attorney who specializes in these things. There is concern that since their firm said the first lease was a good lease, that maybe they don't have the best interest for the township or the residents' interest in mind. How many of you on the board are experienced in writing leases? We are also asking that the copy of the lease be made available to the public for a period of time, as it is our land you are giving away.
Thank you. Moving on to response to citizens' input. Since we have a few regarding the sports complex, does any commissioner want to say anything about the lease at this point? The only thing I have is there is no actual lease at this point. We have met with council to discuss a baseline, and at this point, there is nothing that has been presented to the other party at this point.
I just did add one thing. A few of the residents mentioned me by name. I was concerned about every proposed lease the developers proposed to us, and with it coming up again, I'm not saying I want the project to die. I'm open to it. I think it's a good opportunity if it's right for the township, but I thought the whole process from the beginning, when we had the developer provide us with the lease, was the wrong direction. We should have created our own lease, what we wanted in a lease. Many things that a lot of the residents said, maybe business, traffic, a lot of these other things in there. So that's what we are currently working on.
Don't you agree though with planning and zoning? That's all I have to say. Don't you agree with that?
So we are working on that, and that's what my opinion was. It doesn't make sense for someone wanting to lease your land, provide you with the lease, and us go back and forth. So we're going to provide them what the township's comfortable with, and then if they're not comfortable with it, they can go find other land or they go somewhere else in another community. That's what I stand on. Like I said, I'm open to the idea, but it's got to make sense for the township and the residents that live here.
And I would like to add, everybody that had something to say tonight has value. There's absolutely no doubt about it. Your concerns, your fears, your intrepidations, whether you're for it or against it. But what we're trying to do is create an environment of open dialogue. That's all. That's all I really want you folks to understand here. It is about open dialogue. And there's nothing wrong with dialogue. There's nothing wrong with debate. There's nothing wrong with it at all. And so I think some of you said if we sell off the land. You realize if we sell off the land and we're not the leaseholder, we have no say to nothing how they build it. We lose all rights. All rights. No, sir, I am not wrong. Mr. Fonzie, would you care to step in on this?
I mean, the ordinances for the subdivision land development ordinance would dictate any site plan or phasing for the project. As far as lighting, buffers, things like that are controlled by that ordinance. Again, as I said, we usually see, a property owner come in that has the engineering done, that has all the studies done before it gets to this. This, as I said before, seems backwards.
Any other commissioners have anything?
Yeah, man, I'm far from being done.
Okay, go ahead, Eric.
I really am. I wish there is nobody up here that has malice in their heart. There is nobody that's doing any backdoor dealings. Please. I know you're going to sit there with scowls on your faces and say, oh, geez, Eric, but man, I'm telling you, you guys, how many of you were here last week? By a show of hand. Okay. And last week, you guys know that this place was packed with a bunch of family members and kids and stuff like that are saying equally the opposite of what you're saying. Well, they were taxpayers. They identified themselves.
Sir, you had your chance for your input. We're out of order. Time for citizens' input is over. This is response to citizens' input.
Hey, hold on a second. Hold on. Wait a second. We sat here, every one of us, and none of us interrupted you guys. Well, Nick, hold on.
He sat up there swaying his chair, playing with his pen, talking to her the whole time. He was not respectful to any of us.
I don't think you guys see where this is not easy to deal with. Where the hell is the compassion and the grace and taking patience to understand where people are coming from? There's two.
In the Bible to justify your BS, man.
Sir, please.
So we're talking about a $30 million facility, right? How many of you were against the $25 million? Do you see what the board, Rick, you brought it up, I think. I know you guys aren't allowed to do input. Please understand that. So the school board agreed, 8-1, to bring in to make a $25 million right? You guys are aware of that, right? Are you also aware, did you check your taxes? My taxes went up $233 on my property because the school board is continually running up bills. They don't even, and I know this is not the school board. We have no oversight on the school board. But if they approve, and they did, 8-1, this $25 million project that they have planned, our taxes are going to go up terrible. So my question is this: did you guys go up to the school last week and talk to them about your concerns? Because we're all going to get hit in the pocket. It's not some of us are exempt. None of us are exempt from the taxation that's going to take place on this $25 million monstrosity. And it all started with the railings on the home side were loose and they were scared that somebody could get hurt. And it went from there to a $25 million bill.
What's the relevance? It sounds like you're trying to deflect what we want to talk about to the
Sir, time for citizens' input is over.
Keep talking.
You know what? I sadly sit here and realize that I can't seem to get anybody to listen to what I'm saying, and just to try to think a little bit deeper. You guys are up here. The sports complex is a $30 million complex that they're going to bring to us for $30 million, with no increase in taxation. Yet, conversely, the school is going to build a new stadium for the home side that's going to cost the taxpayers $25 million. Your taxes are going to go up super, super big. Now my question is how many of you went up there last week and said, hey, I'm arguing against this? And all I'm trying to tell you guys is for the sports complex, we're not making decisions. We just want to have open dialogue to see what are the possibilities. I don't understand the confrontation for wanting to understand the possibilities. That's all I'm asking. Yeah, I thought a referendum would be a good idea, but you know, that referendum will come up probably in midterm. I don't know that we could have an off year.
Solicitor Dice, is this qualify for a referendum?
No, it does not. Unfortunately, it does not. So this matter cannot be put up for referendum. Because it's dealing with a private entity. We can't put it up to figure out whether to lease the property. That's not an issue, a referendum issue. I know that you did a referendum previously for whether or not you guys want to spend the money to have a community center, but that's for public purpose, and that's different and distinct than having a private entity have a question on the ballot of whether the municipality should lease the property to that private entity. That's not something a referendum, we can even get that question on the ballot.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Any other commissioners have any? No. All right, moving on to the approval of minutes.
I would make a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting for the sports complex on October 2nd, 2024, with one correction being in the top of the page 1 in the header. It has the location of Center Highway, North Huntington. I would like that changed to Norwin Middle School, North Huntington, PA. That's where that meeting occurred. I would make that motion with that amendment.
Second.
I have a motion to accept with the change of location and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Second? Or, excuse me. All those opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
I make a motion to approve the special meeting dated October 10th, 2024.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Zona, a second by Commissioner Gray. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
And I'll make a trifecta. I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting dated October 16th, 2024.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Zona, second by Commissioner Hempel. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Moving on to payment of bills.
Make a motion, we pay voucher number 34613 to voucher number 36854.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Haggis, second by Commissioner Hempel. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Moving on to staff reports. Public Works. Director Albert, do you have anything to add to your final report?
I don't have much to add other than I want everybody to know that, moving into the winter season, before I leave, everything's in tip-top shape down there. We certainly have a lot of material on stock for whatever, we get this winter. Probably have enough for a few winters down there, but, everything's in good shape. We're continuing to do as much work as we can as long as the weather's holding out and they're making asphalt. We haven't heard when the plant's going to shut down for the season, but I'm sure it's coming soon with the weather coming in that we're unfortunately going to be getting this weekend and what's ahead of us here, in the winter season. But anyhow, yeah, everything's going good. We'll continue to do as much as we can as long as we can do it. And this is a wrap. This is out of 346 possible meetings. Monthly meetings, the regular meetings, I've made 345. So that's a pretty good run. You got your money's worth out of me, I'd say.
Yes, we did.
I missed one meeting in 2000 and I think 16. I actually went on vacation and couldn't be here for the meeting. But so again, that's a wrap. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any commissioners have anything for Mr. Albert?
Mr. Albert, I just want to say thank you so much for Pine Hollow Road. As you folks know, Pine Hollow was closed for quite a long time. It became very scary. We had plow trucks in the police department make the universal call to shut it down, to close it for the benefit and the safety of the constituents and anybody that ever drove on that road. I am glad to announce that it is reopened, but here's what I'm going to say. First off, I'd like to ask Mr. Albert, could we possibly move the limit, the tonnage? It's currently set at 6 ton. Could we please move that sign closer down to Pine Hollow? And here's the reason why. I have a lot of beautiful and wonderful constituents that live on Pine Hollow and Pine Hollow Extension. I talk to them a lot lately. I talk to them a lot, period. They've always addressed their concerns. They have not just the box trucks coming through Pine Hollow, and if any of you have ever been on it, my God, that road is scary. Rick Lager Road's another super scary one. I'm trying to work with the state on that one for you. But they were bringing through, people are cutting through with big rigs, 53 footers. And I know there's no way they could fit that 6 ton. They don't measure up to that 6 ton weight limit. And if we could bring that road sign closer to 993 and really make it very stark and loud and say, hey, look, if you're over 6 ton or 4 ton, please, you've got to turn around. You can't go down this road, because ultimately the concern is those trucks are going to put undue pressure on that road system. Now, the unit that came out and did it, beautiful work. Really, I rode on it today. Very, very pleased, very happy. But I just don't want to see that great work compromised with trucks that are clearly overweight. Could we do something about that, please?
Sure, I'll make a note for the next guy. Tomorrow's actually my very last day of work, so but I truly will make a note, and Harry's here to be able to follow up on that as well. But certainly something that's worth looking into.
Man, I appreciate it. I really do. And thanks again for your 30 super plus wonderful years of service, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other commissioners have anything for Director Albert? Thank you, Director Albert.
Sure.
Parks and Recreation Report, Coordinator Kincaid. You have anything to add to your report tonight?
I just wanted to remind everybody to follow our social media platforms and our website to stay up to date with different offerings that we have either happening now or upcoming. We have a few things currently happening, a couple of special events coming up. Our holiday party for the community will be held Friday, December 6th from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Public Works Building. We also will have our Deck the House holiday decorating contest coming up. We'll have an announcement coming up by the end of the week concerning our father-daughter dance for 2025. So make sure you follow along our social media and our website for all Parks and Rec updates. That's all I have.
Any commissioners have anything for Coordinator Kincaid?
I just have a comment. Lydia, thank you for all the work you're doing. I know from sitting in on the rec board meetings, you've added a lot of events coming up, and I think that's going to be very well received in the township. And I may have brought up at one of the rec board meetings when you were there, I'd just like you to look to it, the feasibility of maybe next summer having a picnic for seniors. I think I discussed that. And maybe just some other townships do it, and I got the idea from Unity Township, actually. They have a little cookout. We could do it at like Indian Lake, and it's fairly cheap, and it brings all the seniors, citizens together that they can sit and talk. And it's a very nice event. And I think just to look at the feasibility of it, maybe.
Definitely. We're looking to add events and programs for all ages. So that is a great idea. I'll add it to our list to discuss at our next meeting. And then we are also looking to plan a lot of events at our next meeting for 2025. So that will be perfect timing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners have anything for Ms. Kincaid? Thank you, Coordinator Kincaid. Our next is police report. Chief Rizzo.
Nothing to add from the report, but I do want to, I told him privately, but I do want to thank him. Many, many years working with you, from me being on the road as a sergeant. I truly value your professional relationship and our personal relationship. I do. You will be missed. We worked through many things, many snowstorms, many a natural disaster over the years. Rich always picked up the phone. He was always there for us, and I do want to appreciate that. And thank you so much.
Thanks, buddy.
All right.
Any commissioners have anything for Chief Rizzo? Seeing none. Emergency management report. Coordinator Mahinsky. You have nothing. Any commissioners have anything for Mr. Mahinsky? No? Thank you, sir. Engineering report. Mr. Grabiak.
I have nothing to add.
Commissioners have anything for Mr. Grabiak?
Oh, yeah, here comes Ward 7. I see Cody put his head down. Folks, I don't know if you know, but Ward 7 really, it's a tough ward. It's a massive ward. It's the oldest of the wards. The infrastructure is not always the greatest, and that's nobody's fault, but just old man time. So with that said, can I get an update on Frog Road? Anything at this time?
Nothing until we should have a proposal. We just got it today, I believe, for KU to do their engineering.
Okay.
That will be on the agenda for next month.
Okay, and that's for Frog Road. Now that while we're on it,
Frog Road.
and we bring up the word KU Engineers Resources,
Yes.
what's the good word on Scotch Hill?
Scotch Hill is supposed to start beginning of December.
Okay, and could you tell us what that is briefly, please?
Inlet,
Okay.
installing multiple inlets coming down the road to control the stormwater.
Okay.
And keep it from dumping on Frog Road.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I just have one quick question for you also. On, in Tuscan Hills, Lot 218, that's Antonio Drive. And it
Yes.
says that the violation has been closed. Was that swell put back to the specifications?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody have anything else for Mr. Grabiak? Seeing none. Community development report. Director Andrikowicz.
I have nothing further to add to any of the community development report or fire officials report. I do have 5 items here from the Planning Commission for tonight. Item number 1 is Site Plan 07-2024 Simba Holdings LLC. Board action to deny the proposed building on State Route 30 for failure to submit any response back to the township.
I would make a motion to deny that.
Second.
So I have a motion by Commissioner Zona and a second by Commissioner Haggis. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Item number 2 is subdivision 14 of 2024, Lucart Vigar. Action to approve the boundary line revision on Lincoln Way.
I'll make the motion. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hempel and a second by Commissioner Gray. Any further discussion? What was the Planning Commission recommendation on this one, please?
That was 6-0 to approve.
Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Item number 3 is subdivision 15 of 2024, the Shorkey consolidation. Action to approve a consolidation of 2 lots on State Route 30 and Bonnie Drive.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Haggis, second by Commissioner Gray. Again, I'm going to ask, what was the zoning?
The Planning Commission approved that 6-0.
6-0 for approval.
Yes.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
I do. Hold on, I
Sorry.
didn't speak up quick enough. Again, folks, ladies and gentlemen, another issue in Ward 7. What are we doing to protect the townspeople, my constituents, whether it's Ward 7 or Ward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it doesn't matter. I don't have these people. I mean, I am their representative. I'm concerned for them. I'm concerned for their safety. I'm concerned for the amount of traffic that's going to be up on Bonnie and Kansas due to Shorkey. Could you please squash my fears and my concerns, and I can relay that on to the constituents in the ward? What is being done to make sure that there will not be a disruption to the people on Bonnie and Kansas if this were to go through?
So, I mean, there's going to be buffers between, residential and the commercial zoning areas. So, I mean, that would help itself in, protecting noise, traffic, stuff like that, at the site of the plan.
Can we make sure that no big trucks will be going through Kansas and Bonnie, that their access in and out will be done from Route 30 and not through the community for the sake of their safety?
So Commissioner Goss, I believe in the discussion last week, we said that this consolidation would
Right.
open that landlocked parcel to Route 30 to allow the access to go there.
You're right.
Am I correct? Is
You're
this the same one we were
That is
talking about?
correct.
This is just a subdivision. There will be a site plan to follow, and you'll get a bite at the apple at that time to ask the developer questions. But we're not quite to that point now. This is just eliminating a property line.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you. Sorry for overstepping.
Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Item number 4 is subdivision 16 of 2024, the Luna subdivision. Board action to deny the subdivision on Center Street.
Yes, that's a correction, because it says on here, action to approve.
Right.
That's action
Yeah,
to
that was
deny.
it was a typo,
It was a
correct.
4-2 vote by the planning.
Planning Commission did deny that 4-2.
Yeah, I will make a motion that we deny that.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Zona and a second by Commissioner Haggis to deny. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
And item number 5 is site plan 10 of 2024, the Norwin Knights Stadium renovations. Action to approve stadium renovations on the Norwin campus. The Planning Commission did approve this 6-0.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Haggis, a second by Commissioner Zona. Any further discussion?
Yes. The school board voted on it. What was their numbers on the vote?
8-1.
For and against.
8-1.
It went 8-1. Hey, guys, I'm a big fan of being fiscally conservative. Always have been. I think this $25 million thing is a burden that is so heavy that it's going to be very difficult for the taxpayers to come up with that money, with, my God, especially our elderly and those that are just... Look, the last 4 years, I'm not going to get into national politics, but the last 4 years have not been great for any of us financially. You know, the average family needed an additional $11,420 to make it. Well, we're not making it. 80 to 85% of Americans today are one paycheck away from bankruptcy. I just, my God, that's frightening to me. And fiscal responsibility tells me that we should vote against this because the people of this township, yes, they need safe places and fun places to go to, but my God, not at the cost of $25 million, because ultimately it is the taxpayers that are going to pay for this. There is no business, nobody out of the generosity of their heart is going to come rescue us and pay that $25 million bill. It's just not going to happen. And I'm just going to ask the board, please consider carefully when you vote for this. I'm sorry if that upsets people that want this, but you have to remember from what I was told, this all started with just fixing a failing rail. And now it's turned into $25 million that each and every one of us that live in this township are going to have to pay. And last month, my taxes went up $233 because of the school board. And we have no say, no jurisdiction over the school board at all. Zero. This board has nothing that we can say or do, that we can jump up and down and act like act like a fool to get them to stop to do what they're doing. But this guy who's representing the folks in Ward 7, I can't approve a $25 million bill. That is a bloody anchor around everybody's neck. So please vote your conscience, but I would ask if you would please consider saying no. Thank you.
Commissioner Goss, I don't want to get in a big debate with you, but we aren't the elected officials to approve spending money. We're just approving a site plan. We have no say in that. And I don't want to call you out, but you called some of the residents out about going to school board's meeting. Did you go to the school board meeting to voice your opinion?
I did not.
So, I mean, and I'm not trying to get in a debate with you, but if you're going to call the residents out and now we're going to be uninformed that we're approving a site plan,
Well,
you
this
should follow
guy's
your
not
lead.
perfect. None of us are, so you're right. But you're right. I'm sorry.
Do we have any further discussion?
I just have one comment. I'm not opposed to this at all. However, I would just like to throw out there that maybe the school district should look to have sponsors for this facility. And then the sponsor gets their name put on the facility. And I think they should look into that as well. Once they get permission to do it, maybe some sponsorships would do them well.
It sounds like we have a couple of candidates for school board.
Yeah.
I mean, that's who controls this.
Yeah.
Let's stay in our lane.
We are approving a site plan.
Right.
That was approved by the planning commission 6-0, correct?
Correct.
Right.
We have a motion and a second to approve the site plan. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No, I'm saying no. Sorry.
Can we do a roll call, Manager Falk?
Commissioner Hempel,
Yes.
Commissioner Hagus,
Yes.
Commissioner Gray,
Yes.
Commissioner Zona,
Yes.
Commissioner Bevan,
Yes.
Commissioner Goss,
Nope.
President Atwood.
Yes, motion carries 6-1.
I have nothing further.
Any commissioners have anything for any of Director Andrikovich's reports? None? Thank you. Moving on to the solicitor's report.
Yes, action to approve ordinance 2305 designating Mockingbird Drive as a school zone area with a maximum speed limit of 15 miles per hour and incorporating this ordinance in the code as known as the Vehicles and Traffic Code.
Motion to approve.
And I'll second that.
A motion by Commissioner Hagus, a second by Commissioner Zona. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. That concludes the solicitor's report. Moving on, Township Manager's report. Manager Falk.
2.5 years I've known you, Rich. I prepared a speech, but I threw it out. No, I'll give you my speech tomorrow. But it's been a pleasure and an honor. It's been a joy working with you. I've worked with a lot of public works directors, and you're number one.
Well, thanks, Harry. I know I haven't been real easy on you the last couple of years, and that's all on me. So
No. Action to approve the October check register.
Motion to approve.
Second. A motion by Commissioner Zona, second by Commissioner Hempel. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
You have a copy of the budget report dated October 2024. Are there any questions? Moving on, action to advertise an ordinance affixing the various tax rates for the year 2025.
Motion approved.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Haggis, second by Commissioner Hempel. I have a question on this. Is there any difference in the one for 2025 versus 2024?
We added a plan of lots for the light tax. But other than that, there is no tax increase. No tax increase.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Action to advertise the 2025 budget for public inspection.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Zona, second by Commissioner Hempel. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Action to advertise an ordinance adopting the 2025 budget.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hempel, second by Commissioner Zona. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Action to advertise an ordinance to adopt the fee schedule.
Motion to approve.
Second.
The motion by Commissioner Zona, second by Commissioner Hempel. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Action to accept the 2023 audit report.
Motion to approve.
Second.
The motion by Commissioner Hempel, second by Commissioner Bevan. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Action to approve the North Huntington Township Fire District map.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Zona and a second by Commissioner Goss. Any further discussion?
Yes, I do. I just asked prior to our meeting earlier, Manager Falk to pull out the audit report for said fire department straw pump. I'm not sure if there's any representative here from straw pump, but I looked at the report, and going into beginning of 2023, they had in their account of taxpayers' money roughly $322,000. When then we gave them money, and whenever that was, Manager Falk, whenever we gave them this year's money, another $74,000. I would like to see, because of the situation where we're redistricting the map, and there again, I'd like to see us take back some of that money and maybe hold it into an escrow account and freeze it. I know they're allowed to spend up to $10,000 where they can use that to buy capital, but that just seems like a lot of money to have in their account that they're really not able to use. They can't really buy anything over $10,000 without manager approval. And I just think it's a lot of taxpayers' dollars that we could bring back. I'm just asking for $200,000. And if we have any, I spoke to the chief, Skip, if you want to elaborate on that, we spoke, and if you're in agreement to that, then, I would like to make that motion.
Freeze it up, it would make sense. If they need it, all could move back to it. But as long as it stays in the township allotment for the fire fund, I think it would be an okay move. And if they recertify and get back, we can just freeze first money. If not, it can be reallocated according to depending on what it's for. I think it's a wise move financially. That's a consensus of the other chiefs.
Solicitor, I think that'll take an action of a resolution.
Yeah, so I recommend that we could get something together for the next meeting to put it on for a work session. It can be vetted, and then you can pass it at your regular meeting. But to have it as via resolution, and then we can put parameters in place like reallocating if they get certified again or something to that effect. But I could work with Harry to do that.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept the revised fire map. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Action to approve pay application number 2 in the amount of $349,443.18 to JP Operations for the Pine Hollow Slide Repair Project.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Goss, second by Commissioner Hempel. Any further discussion?
Yes, just one. I just want to know that Senator Kim Ward's office, is that correct, was involved with this?
Correct. She
Could
gave
we-
the township $180,000 grant towards this project.
Okay, so our total bill is not 349, or is it 349 minus 180? Which way is it?
Well, that's not the total bill, but it'll
Okay.
be the total project minus $180,000.
Okay,
And that was the cost for the taxpayers.
okay. All right, I just want to take the opportunity to thank Senator Kim Ward for granting us $180,000 to fix this road and make it safe for everybody. Thank you, Senator Ward. Thank you.
Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Action to approve pay application number 1 in the amount of $1,193,819.24 for the 2024 milling and resurfacing program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Hempel and a second by Commissioner Gray. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Action to enter into an agreement with the Westmoreland County Transit Authority local share assessment for the fiscal year 2024 to 2025 in the amount of $6,027.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Hempel, second by Commissioner Zona. Any further discussion?
Yes, please. What is this for? More specifically?
So every year, this is our local share to help the operations of the Westmoreland County Transit Authority.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Action to hire Mark Cipher as the code enforcement officer.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hempel, second by Commissioner Bevan. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Action to accept the resignation of Michael Gray, Public Works Director.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Zona, second by Commissioner Hempel. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Action to advertise for the position of Public Works Director.
Motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. I'll be second.
Motion by Commissioner Zona, second by Commissioner Hempel. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Action to approve the 2024-2025 real estate tax assessment appeal for parcel ID number 51-12-00-0-106 owned by Walmart Real Estate Business Trust.
Motion to approve.
Second.
The motion by Commissioner Hempel, second by Commissioner Zona. Any further discussion?
I am vehemently, I can't even say that word, I'm so upset, against this. And I'll tell you the reason why. I don't know if you guys know, but Walmart wants to reduce their tax imprint in our township. This is a mega monster organization, company, whatever you want to call it, and they want to have their taxes reduced. And they're asking it to be done through, if I heard the information right, nationwide. I just can't believe this. This company is in the billions of dollars, if not. And by them reducing their tax footprint, it is less taxation that we collect. Look, we're not overcharging anybody. but they want to reduce it even more, which is going to have a negative impact on our community. Folks, we have tried and sat here for years and years, and I think Mr. Haggis would tell us, and Mr. Gray, because those two gentlemen have been on the board the longest, and we have not raised taxes for, my God, 16, 18, 20 years? 20 years.
22. It's over 20 years.
Over 20 years.
It's about 15, 16 years ago, we actually lowered taxes.
Yes, yeah, you guys actually lowered. Twice. Yeah. You know, I like that track record. I really do. Because it's good for you guys. It's good for us too, because you know what? Yeah, I get paid $321.85 a month to sit up here. That's what we get paid, all 7 of us, $321.85. But we're also still taxpayers, and we're going to feel it in our wallets. You guys are going to feel it in your wallets. And the last thing I want to do to the wonderful people here in the township, and this is not gaslighting, is to have to raise your taxes because we've got corporations that just don't want to pay their share of taxation. And I'm going to vote against this, and that is my reasoning. Thank you.
Do we have any other discussion?
Yeah, I'd ask the solicitor to explain this, because I don't think that's exactly the way it should be explained.
So, as a result of the markets and the way the property real estate assessments have been going, and the interest rates, the common level ratio has impacted all residential and commercial properties. And as a result of, they appealed, and every year, every taxing district and owner is able to appeal their taxes. So I do want you to know, Mr. Gass, I do believe the school district, because the school district has the biggest slice of the pie here, they will be monitoring Walmart no matter what. That being said, there was an analysis done, appraisals were done, we reviewed everything, and as a result, the value that is coming in is only about 2% of a reduction, and it is very close to what we settled in previous years. So, and given the common level ratio that is affecting all taxing bodies, and hopefully the markets will start changing. And this is unusual. Usually it's the flip. The owners usually arguing reduce, 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 and we can argue the common level ratio in our favor. But unfortunately, in this scenario, since 2022, it's really flipped on all the municipalities and school districts, and it's going to have a major effect. But this scenario in the Walmart case is not that much different than what they were paying last year. Again, it's a I don't want to call it de minimis because it's a lot of money, but it is de minimis in the sense that compared to major reductions, because it's only a 2% essentially.
Well, and that 2% equates to over about just a little over $42,860.
And that's why I said I don't want to call it de minimis. For the school district, they get 90. So
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
They get a
you're
lot.
at 9%, I believe. They're at closer to 90%
Yeah.
if you do the millage. So they're losing a lot, that 9 times what you just said. So
But taxation is taxation, whether it's the township doing it or the school district. Ultimately, it's you guys that have to pay it. Well, I shouldn't say you guys, it's we. We have to pay it, and I just have heartburn with it. I really, really do.
and I totally understand, and I understand, and it is Walmart. They're worldwide.
Worldwide.
I get it.
I don't think they're heard. Something tells me they're not.
Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-1 with Commissioner Goss as the dissent.
Action to award the bituminous surfacing materials bid to Tresco Paving in the amount of $22,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Haggis, second by Commissioner Hempel. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Action to award the Class A concrete bid to Tresco Paving in the amount of $83,980.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hempel and a second by Commissioner Bevan. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Action to award the drainage pipe bid to Pleasant Unity Supply in the amount of $107,303.
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Zona and a second by Commissioner Gray. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Action to award the stone and anti-skid bid to Heidelberg Materials in the amount of $297,826.
Motion to approve.
Second.
The motion by Commissioner Zona, second by Commissioner Bevan. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Action to award the storm inlets and grates to Pleasant Unity Supply in the amount of $65,500.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Hempel, second by Commissioner Zona. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0.
Action to approve the 2025 road improvement program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Haggis, second by Commissioner Hempel. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. At this point, do we have any further board comments?
I want to wish everybody a happy, safe, and healthy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Any other announcements or comments? Seeing
Motion
none.
adjourned.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn by Commissioner Haggis, second by Commissioner Zona. Any further discussion? All those in favor by stating aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Meeting adjourned at 8:41.